you're thinking of the franchise location. This?
Some days she misses her friends. Oh no.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the 2025 cinematic sequel to the 2023 adaptation of the iconic horror video game series, a franchise that captured the imaginations of gamers worldwide with its unique blend of suspense, jump scares, and haunting animatronic characters. The film is produced in the United States and represents a collaborative effort between Blumhouse Productions, Scott Cawthon Productions, and Mind Hive Films, with Emma Tammy at the helm as director and Scott Cawthon, the original creator of the games, contributing to the screenplay. The narrative picks up roughly a year after the events of the first movie, diving deeper into the dark lore surrounding Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a seemingly innocent family entertainment center that hides sinister secrets within its walls. With a runtime of approximately 104 minutes, the film is performed in English and maintains the signature chilling atmosphere of the franchise while expanding upon the mythology established in the first installment. The story begins with a portrayal of the aftermath of the terrifying events from the original film, highlighting the way these incidents have become local legend. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, though officially closed and subject to multiple warnings, has remained etched in the collective consciousness of the town, turning from a haunted location into a source of urban folklore. Amidst this backdrop, the film introduces viewers to Mike Schmidt, the former security guard who survived the horrors of the first film, and Vanessa Shelley, a police officer intimately aware of the true nature of the animatronic creatures. Their lives, along with the life of Abby Schmidt, Mike's younger sister, become central to the narrative as the story explores themes of family, trauma, and the lingering shadows of past horrors. Abby, unaware of the full extent of the dangers, is drawn to the legendary animatronics, motivated by curiosity and the pervasive influence of the popular festival known as FazFest, which celebrates the once-beloved pizzeria with carnival-like fanfare. The tension builds as Abby's fascination leads her to interact with the animatronics, triggering a resurgence of malevolent energy that had lain dormant since the first film. The animatronics, including Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are portrayed with a terrifyingly lifelike realism, combining animatronic technology, practical effects, and CGI to create a sense of dread and unpredictability. These characters are not merely machines but are imbued with a sinister consciousness, their movements and behaviors reflecting a disturbing intelligence that amplifies the horror. The film explores the backstory of these animatronics, revealing dark secrets about their creation, the mysterious incidents that plagued the original pizzeria, and the people responsible for the tragedies. This backstory is gradually revealed through a series of flashbacks, security footage, and cryptic messages, which collectively construct a layered narrative that rewards attentive viewers with a deeper understanding of the franchise's mythology. In addition to the narrative depth, the cast delivers performances that ground the supernatural elements in human emotion. Josh Hutcherson portrays Mike Schmidt with a mix of fear, determination, and protective instinct, capturing the psychological strain of someone who has faced unimaginable horror yet must continue to confront it for the sake of loved ones. Elizabeth Lail, as Vanessa Shelley, embodies the duality of a character torn between professional duty and personal involvement, her performance highlighting the moral complexities of uncovering hidden truths in a world where appearances can be fatally deceiving. Piper Rubio's portrayal of Abby Schmidt injects a sense of youthful curiosity and vulnerability, making her descent into the dangerous allure of the animatronics both compelling and emotionally resonant. The interactions among these characters form the emotional backbone of the film, ensuring that the narrative tension is complemented by relational stakes, not just jump scares. The production of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 involved meticulous attention to both visual and auditory detail. Filming took place in a combination of studio sets and location shoots designed to evoke the claustrophobic and eerie environment of a haunted family entertainment center. The animatronic models were engineered to be both physically present on set and enhanced digitally in post-production, creating a seamless blend of tangible horror and cinematic spectacle. Sound design plays a critical role in building suspense, with ambient noises, mechanical movements, and sudden audio cues used strategically to heighten tension and unsettle the audience. The lighting design emphasizes shadows and low-key illumination, ensuring that even a brief glimpse of a character or animatronic can provoke unease. Director Emma Tammy's vision combines these technical elements with narrative pacing to maintain a consistent sense of dread throughout the film. The release strategy for the film was orchestrated to maximize impact and audience anticipation. Officially released in late 2025, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 premiered at select theaters before a wider nationwide release. The marketing campaign leveraged both nostalgia for the video game series and intrigue surrounding the horror sequel. Teasers and trailers highlighted the returning animatronics, glimpses of the new characters, and the escalating threat that the protagonists must confront. Viral marketing strategies included interactive websites and social media campaigns, allowing fans to explore the fictional universe of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, uncover hidden clues, and engage with the lore in a participatory manner. The film's trailer, released several months prior to the premiere, received widespread attention for its effective combination of suspenseful visuals, evocative sound design, and hints of a deeper narrative that promised both scares and story complexity. Critical reception has noted the film's successful expansion of the FNAF universe. Reviewers praised its ability to balance traditional horror elements, such as suspenseful pacing and jump scares, with richer character development and an expanded mythology. Audience reactions have reflected similar sentiments, with particular appreciation for the practical effects and animatronic design, which bring the iconic characters to life in a visually compelling way. Box office performance indicates that the film resonated with both fans of the original games and newcomers to the series, demonstrating the continued cultural relevance of the franchise. Analysts have observed that the film's success lies not only in its ability to scare but also in its capacity to create a fully realized world that rewards attentive viewing and engagement with the story's deeper mysteries. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 also serves as a bridge between the original video game series and the emerging cinematic universe. The filmmakers incorporated references to key plot points from the games, including subtle nods to character backstories, hidden Easter eggs, and the lore surrounding the animatronics' origins. This approach satisfies longtime fans while remaining accessible to newcomers, creating a narrative that is both layered and self-contained. The interplay between in-universe mythology and real-world cinematic techniques demonstrates the filmmakers' commitment to honoring the source material while innovating in the horror genre. The combination of suspense, character-driven storytelling, and intricate lore positions the film as a noteworthy entry in the broader landscape of contemporary horror cinema. As the story of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 unfolds, the tension escalates through a careful layering of suspense, character development, and the deepening mystery of the animatronic's malevolent presence. The plot continues with Abby Schmidt venturing into the festival grounds, her youthful curiosity and fascination with the animatronics leading her into increasingly dangerous situations. The festival itself, FazFest, is portrayed as a mixture of colorful lights, carnival games, and the eerie undercurrent of a legacy haunted by violence and supernatural phenomena. It is a place where children's laughter mingles with the mechanical whirring of the animatronics, creating a juxtaposition that is simultaneously nostalgic and unsettling. This setting becomes a central narrative space where past traumas, family relationships, and horror intersect, providing the film with a visually rich and narratively complex environment. Abby's interactions with the animatronics trigger memories and visions that offer glimpses into the history of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, including incidents that had previously been hidden or misunderstood. These sequences use a combination of practical effects, CGI, and atmospheric lighting to convey the sense of unreality and menace. For example, Freddy's movements are fluid yet unnatural, creating a sense that the character exists in the boundary between machine and living entity. Bonnie and Chica, similarly, exhibit behaviors that are eerily human in their intent and reaction, responding to Abby's presence in ways that suggest consciousness and intent rather than simple programming. Foxy, the more aggressive and unpredictable animatronic, serves as a narrative catalyst, pushing characters into critical situations that advance the plot and increase the stakes. The filmmaker's attention to animatronic design ensures that each character is visually distinct, with detailed textures, realistic mechanics, and subtle lighting effects that enhance their sense of presence and threat. Meanwhile, Mike Schmidt and Vanessa Shelley struggle with the moral and practical implications of protecting Abby while uncovering the deeper truths behind the animatronic's origins. Mike, having endured the horrors of the first movie, experiences a psychological conflict between fear and duty. His backstory is explored through flashbacks that reveal the trauma he endured, his interactions with the original animatronics, and his attempts to reconcile the terrifying experiences with his desire to live a normal life. Vanessa, on the other hand, balances her professional responsibilities as a law enforcement officer with a personal commitment to preventing further tragedy. Her investigative skills uncover hidden clues and connections that gradually piece together the larger conspiracy surrounding Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, revealing that the animatronic's malevolence is not merely the result of supernatural forces but is intertwined with human actions, negligence, and secrecy. The film delves into the mythology of the animatronics through these revelations, explaining the mechanisms by which they have become haunted or possessed. Scenes involving old security tapes, abandoned workshops, and secret rooms uncover the backstory of how certain individuals manipulated the animatronics, embedding within them the essence of past victims or exploiting unexplained phenomena for nefarious purposes. The narrative explores themes of guilt, vengeance, and the consequences of ignoring ethical boundaries in the pursuit of profit or personal ambition. These thematic elements are interwoven with the horror sequences, giving the scare's narrative weight and ensuring that each frightening moment contributes to the broader story rather than existing solely for shock value. The pacing of the film alternates between high-intensity sequences and quieter, tension-building moments. Chase scenes, sudden appearances of animatronics, and escalating confrontations are balanced with slower sequences that allow characters to reflect, investigate, and engage in dialogue that reveals key information. This ebb and flow of tension maintains audience engagement while also providing the opportunity to deepen emotional investment in the characters. The cinematography employs tight framing, unexpected angles, and dim lighting to enhance the claustrophobic and threatening atmosphere, often making ordinary spaces appear unfamiliar and menacing. The use of mirrors, shadows, and reflective surfaces further adds to the visual complexity, allowing the animatronics to appear in places where the audience may not immediately expect, heightening suspense and unpredictability. The production design also emphasizes the contrast between the lively, colorful festival setting and the dark, ominous history it conceals. Costumes, props, and set decoration reflect this duality. Bright banners, balloons, and carnival rides are juxtaposed against broken animatronic parts, hidden control rooms, and peeling walls of abandoned facilities. Sound design plays a similarly critical role, with the creaking of joints, whirring of motors, and subtle mechanical noises integrated into the soundscape to create an immersive experience. Music cues, composed specifically for the film, alternate between playful, carnival-style melodies and dark, tension-filled motifs, underscoring the film's thematic oscillation between childhood innocence and adult horror. Character interactions continue to drive the narrative, particularly as the siblings' relationship is tested under extreme circumstances. Abby's growing understanding of the animatronic's threat forces her to confront her own curiosity and fears, while Mike's protective instincts bring him into direct conflict with both supernatural and human dangers. Vanessa serves as a stabilizing presence, providing guidance, investigation, and a voice of reason amid chaos. Supporting characters, including minor festival attendees, workers, and former employees, add depth to the story, each contributing to the sense that the world of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza extends beyond the central characters, populated by individuals who have all been affected by or are complicit in the unfolding horror. The climactic sequences escalate both in terms of narrative stakes and visual spectacle. Animatronics become increasingly aggressive, their movements more unpredictable, and their appearances more menacing. These sequences combine complex choreography, precise timing, and layered visual effects to create intense, suspenseful moments. Practical effects, such as animatronic puppetry and mechanical rigs, are seamlessly integrated with CGI enhancements, resulting in a level of realism that allows the audience to suspend disbelief. The final confrontations reveal critical plot twists, including the revelation of hidden identities, long-concealed motivations, and the ultimate consequences of the characters' decisions. These moments resolve certain narrative arcs while leaving enough ambiguity to maintain a sense of lingering unease, characteristic of the franchise's ongoing themes of horror and mystery. In continuing the story of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the animatronics themselves emerge not just as antagonists but as central figures with layered histories that contribute to the overarching narrative. Each character, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, is given depth beyond their mechanical forms, with subtle hints at consciousness, memory, and lingering attachment to past events. Freddy, as the titular figure, is portrayed with a combination of malevolent intelligence and an almost obsessive territoriality over the pizzeria space. His movements are deliberate, calculated, and often psychologically unsettling, making him the symbolic center of the horror. Bonnie's behavior is more erratic, emphasizing unpredictability, while Chica's interactions reveal a disturbing mimicry of human emotion, further blurring the line between machine and sentient being. Foxy, the most aggressive and volatile of the group, functions as both a physical and narrative threat, pushing the human characters into reactive and often dangerous scenarios that heighten tension. The film also expands on the lore introduced in the original games, incorporating subtle references and explicit backstory elements. Security tapes, fragmented logs, and hidden notes provide exposition on the origins of the animatronics, revealing that they are more than simple mechanical constructs. They carry traces of the personalities, consciousness, or souls of individuals affected by past tragedies in the pizzeria. This integration of supernatural elements with technological design underscores a recurring theme: the intertwining of human error, neglect, and moral corruption with inexplicable phenomena. As the narrative progresses, the characters gradually uncover the consequences of previous actions by former employees and management, highlighting how greed, ambition, and moral compromise contributed to the creation of the haunted environment. In terms of production design, the filmmakers paid meticulous attention to authenticity and immersion. Sets were constructed to replicate the interior of an actual family entertainment center, complete with arcade machines, dining areas, stage platforms, and hidden maintenance corridors. Each area is purposefully designed to create both a sense of normalcy and an underlying tension, with shadows and hidden corners serving as potential sources of terror. The animatronics themselves were constructed using a combination of mechanical puppetry and CGI, enabling precise control over expressions and movement. Costume and makeup design for human characters also reinforced the film's realism, with subtle details reflecting stress, fear, and the cumulative impact of exposure to terrifying environments. The musical score contributes significantly to the atmosphere, alternating between light, carnival-inspired themes and dark, ominous motifs that heighten suspense. This interplay reflects the dual nature of the setting, a space designed for entertainment that is simultaneously haunted by past atrocities. Sound design amplifies the tension, with mechanical whirs, joint creaks, and muffled footsteps strategically placed to manipulate audience anticipation. Director Emma Tammy utilizes sound and visual cues together, ensuring that every rustle, shadow, or movement triggers an instinctual response, reinforcing the film's core strategy of psychological horror. Character development remains central throughout the film. Abby's arc moves from innocent curiosity to awareness and agency, reflecting her confrontation with both external threats and internal fears. Her interactions with the animatronics are pivotal, serving as a lens through which the audience experiences the blend of awe and terror intrinsic to the setting. Mike Schmidt's role as protector and investigator reinforces themes of responsibility and the psychological burden of surviving trauma. His cautious, methodical approach contrasts with Abby's impulsive curiosity, highlighting generational differences in understanding and responding to danger. Vanessa Shelley operates as the connective tissue between these perspectives, using her investigative skills and rationality to navigate the unfolding events and guide the protagonists toward survival while uncovering the deeper truths hidden within the haunted pizzeria. The climax of the film is characterized by a convergence of narrative threads and intensification of horror. The animatronics become increasingly aggressive, their behavior escalating in complexity and unpredictability, forcing the characters into tense confrontations that test their resilience and ingenuity. Key scenes involve strategic use of light, sound, and perspective to maximize suspense, often allowing animatronics to appear in places the audience does not initially anticipate. Practical effects combined with digital enhancements create a seamless blend, allowing the creatures to move in lifelike, terrifying ways. As characters navigate dark corridors, hidden rooms, and elaborate mechanical spaces, viewers are drawn into a visceral experience that mimics the tension and fear of the original video games. The film concludes with both resolution and ambiguity. Certain storylines are resolved, such as immediate threats being neutralized or characters achieving a degree of understanding regarding the animatronic's nature, while other elements remain intentionally unexplained. This ambiguity allows for lingering unease, a hallmark of the franchise, and preserves narrative flexibility for potential sequels. The final sequences also emphasize thematic reflection, highlighting the consequences of human actions, the persistence of trauma, and the moral implications of confronting or exploiting the supernatural. By balancing action, suspense, and thematic depth, the film delivers both a cinematic experience and a thought-provoking exploration of horror as a reflection of human behavior. Beyond its narrative and thematic elements, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 generated significant cultural impact. The release was accompanied by viral marketing campaigns, interactive experiences, and cross-media tie-ins designed to engage fans in both digital and physical spaces. These efforts included online ARGs, alternate reality games, social media campaigns featuring cryptic clues, and immersive experiences in select locations mimicking the festival and pizzeria environments. These marketing strategies leveraged the interactive nature of the original games, providing fans with a participatory form of engagement that reinforced the film's immersive qualities. Critical and audience reception acknowledged this innovative approach, noting how the film successfully integrated storytelling, horror, and fan interactivity. The sequel also contributed to the ongoing expansion of the Five Nights at Freddy's cinematic universe. By exploring unexplored corners of the lore, introducing new character dynamics, and deepening the psychological and supernatural dimensions of the animatronics, the film positioned itself as a pivotal installment that bridges the gap between game adaptations and original storytelling. Comparisons to the first film highlighted the sequel's improvements in character development, pacing, and technical execution, while still retaining the series' signature suspense and horror aesthetics. This delicate balance of innovation and continuity ensured that the film appealed both to longtime fans and newcomers, strengthening the franchise's position within the broader horror genre. As the story progresses deeper into the narrative of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the film shifts focus toward a more meticulous exploration of suspense, gradually revealing the intricacies of its plot while maintaining an unrelenting tension that mirrors the gameplay experience of the original video series. The story's pacing allows for a balance between intense action sequences and quieter, psychological moments, enabling the audience to digest the layers of mystery embedded in the haunted environment. Abby's curiosity and inherent bravery serve as narrative devices to explore hidden corners of the pizzeria and festival grounds, revealing both literal and figurative shadows that have remained obscured. Each discovery Abby makes uncovers another layer of the animatronics' history, the morally ambiguous behavior of previous employees, and the consequences of human interference with forces that are not fully understood. These narrative choices emphasize the thematic elements of the story, the intersection of innocence and corruption, the persistence of memory, and the consequences of neglecting moral responsibilities. One of the most compelling aspects of the film lies in its methodical unfolding of animatronic behavior. The film gradually unveils that the creatures, far from being mindless machines, possess a combination of programmed intelligence, supernatural influence, and residual consciousness from past events. Freddy, as the dominant figure, operates with a heightened awareness of his environment, exhibiting behavior that suggests strategic planning rather than random aggression. Bonnie and Chica demonstrate emergent behaviors that often confuse or terrify the human characters, creating scenarios that are both suspenseful and unpredictable. Foxy's sudden, high-speed incursions act as narrative accelerants, propelling scenes into high-intensity sequences that juxtapose moments of fear with moments of reflection. This careful orchestration of animatronic action creates an atmosphere of sustained dread, reminiscent of the gameplay experience where players are required to monitor multiple threats simultaneously, balancing observation, prediction, and reaction. In parallel, the film's human characters undergo significant development, deepening audience investment in their survival and moral journeys. Mike Schmidt's role is particularly nuanced, as he navigates the burden of previous trauma, the responsibility of protecting Abby, and the task of interpreting cryptic clues regarding the animatronic's origins. His psychological arc reflects the broader theme of confronting the past. He must reconcile his previous failures, learn from the mistakes that allowed the original horrors to occur, and take decisive action to prevent further calamity. Vanessa Shelley functions as both moral compass and investigative catalyst, providing analytical insights, uncovering hidden connections, and guiding Abby and Mike toward critical revelations. Abby herself evolves from naive curiosity to empowered understanding, her encounters with the animatronics serving as both literal and metaphorical tests of courage, resilience, and ethical discernment. The filmmakers employ a sophisticated visual language to heighten suspense and guide the audience's attention. Cinematographer choices, such as tight framing, dynamic camera angles, and the strategic use of shadows, create an omnipresent sense of menace. The film frequently uses off-screen cues, subtle noises, flickering lights, and movement in peripheral vision, to build psychological tension. In many sequences, the audience is made aware of the animatronic's presence before the characters, creating dramatic irony that intensifies fear and anticipation. Practical effects, including puppetry and animatronic rigs, are meticulously combined with digital effects to produce lifelike movement, fluid expressions, and eerie interactions with the human characters. The result is a seamless integration of the fantastical with the tangible, allowing the horror to feel immediate and grounded despite its supernatural dimensions. Narratively, the story is punctuated by strategic reveals and escalating mysteries. Hidden rooms, cryptic messages, and security footage provide a gradual exposition of the animatronics' origins, linking their malevolence to both supernatural forces and human negligence. Key flashbacks show past employees tampering with the machines, failing to adhere to safety protocols, or otherwise acting in ways that inadvertently contributed to the haunting. These sequences emphasize the recurring theme of moral responsibility. Horror is not simply external, but a consequence of choices, ethical lapses, and the disregard of human life. The interweaving of past and present timelines creates a layered narrative structure, encouraging attentive viewing and fostering audience speculation about the relationship between events, characters, and the mysterious forces at play. Sound design continues to play a pivotal role in reinforcing tension. The auditory landscape includes mechanical creaks, distant footsteps, the whirring of animatronic joints, and muffled, distorted children's laughter. These sounds are strategically manipulated, volume shifts, echoing effects, and sudden silences, to provoke instinctual reactions from the audience, often preceding visual confirmations of threat. Music complements these effects, alternating between playful, carnival-inspired motifs and dark, ominous compositions, emphasizing the dichotomy of a setting that is at once nostalgic and terrifying. By integrating auditory and visual cues, the film immerses viewers in a multisensory experience that mirrors the anxiety and vigilance central to the gameplay mechanics of the original FNAF series. The climactic sequences build to a tense convergence of narrative and action. Abby, Mike, and Vanessa navigate the most dangerous areas of the festival and pizzeria, confronting animatronics in confined spaces that limit mobility and increase suspense. Each encounter tests their ability to remain calm, think critically, and respond strategically, mirroring the resource management and survival strategies familiar to game players. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy are deployed in increasingly complex patterns, coordinating both scripted and unpredictable movements that challenge the protagonist's ability to anticipate and react. These sequences are designed not only to thrill and scare but also to convey narrative stakes, reinforcing the consequences of character choices and the ongoing threat posed by the haunted environment. From a thematic perspective, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 emphasizes the psychological and ethical dimensions of horror. The film explores how trauma, curiosity, moral responsibility, and family relationships intersect within a world influenced by both human error and supernatural phenomena. The interplay between innocence and corruption, past and present, and human versus machine, underscores the franchise's ongoing exploration of fear as a reflection of human vulnerability and ethical complexity. By integrating these themes with intricate character development and carefully orchestrated suspense, the film achieves a layered narrative that is emotionally resonant as well as frightening. The release and reception of the film underscore its significance within contemporary horror culture. Promotional campaigns combine traditional media with innovative interactive experiences, including immersive websites, ARGs, and fan-based challenges designed to expand engagement with the story world. Critics highlighted the film's ability to balance character-driven storytelling, suspenseful horror, and loyalty to the video game source material. Fans responded positively to the detailed animatronic design, faithful adaptation of in-game mechanics, and the enriched backstory that expanded the franchise's lore. Box office performance and streaming statistics indicate strong audience interest, suggesting that the film successfully appeals to both longtime franchise fans and newcomers drawn to psychological horror. Building upon the suspense, character development, and thematic depth established in previous sequences, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 further enriches its narrative by embedding intricate references to the original video game series, providing fans with rewarding Easter eggs while simultaneously offering newcomers a coherent story. The filmmakers meticulously designed environments, props, and visual cues to echo elements familiar to game players. Subtle details, such as the arrangement of arcade machines, hidden plushies, coded messages in graffiti, and fleeting glimpses of animatronic maintenance logs, serve as narrative breadcrumbs that deepen the lore and enhance engagement. These references not only validate the continuity of the franchise but also reinforce the immersive quality of the horror, ensuring that attentive viewers feel a sense of discovery and connection with the source material. One notable example is the inclusion of secret backrooms behind FazFest attractions that replicate hidden areas familiar from the games. These rooms, dimly lit and filled with disused animatronic parts, serve as both narrative devices and visual spectacles, reinforcing the notion that the animatronic's malevolence is both systemic and intentional. Security footage sequences reveal past incidents involving the original employees, some of which hint at unexplained phenomena while others expose human negligence and moral compromise. These sequences are shot with a combination of grainy, handheld camera aesthetics and static, security-style framing, evoking the tension and observational mechanics central to the original game experience. The result is a storytelling technique that simultaneously provides exposition, evokes nostalgia, and maintains suspense. Production insights reveal that achieving this level of realism required a sophisticated blend of practical and digital effects. Animatronic models were constructed using a combination of articulated mechanical components and silicone-based exterior textures, allowing for realistic movement and nuanced expressions. On set, puppeteers controlled detailed facial and limb movements, which were later enhanced digitally to add fluidity, precision, and the subtle creepiness necessary for cinematic horror. Animatronics such as Freddy were rigged with multiple layers of mechanical articulation to simulate weight, balance, and reactive behavior. The practical challenges of creating lifelike movement while maintaining safety for actors interacting with these devices were significant, with numerous rehearsals and coordination required to ensure both realism and continuity. Visual effects teams augmented these practical elements with CGI overlays, shadows, and subtle lighting enhancements, resulting in animatronics that seamlessly blend into the cinematic environment without appearing artificial or cartoonish. Sound design was approached with equal sophistication, emphasizing the dual nature of the environment as both playful and sinister. The auditory landscape incorporates mechanical whirs, muffled laughter, distant footsteps, and sudden metallic impacts, often synchronized with camera movements and character focus to maximize psychological tension. Music cues shift fluidly between innocent, carnival-like melodies and dark, foreboding motifs, reflecting the underlying tension of a setting that merges childhood nostalgia with horror. The combination of diegetic and non-diegetic sound creates a layered listening experience that complements the visual storytelling, heightening suspense and ensuring that the audience remains engaged in every scene. Marketing and promotional efforts for the film were extensive and innovative, leveraging fan engagement strategies inspired by the interactive nature of the original games. Online alternate reality games, ARGs, social media campaigns featuring cryptic messages, immersive virtual experiences, and fan contests created a multi-platform narrative that extended the film's world beyond the theater. These strategies encouraged audiences to interact with hidden clues, solve puzzles, and explore fictional environments, effectively blurring the line between viewer and participant. This approach not only strengthened fan investment but also enhanced the perception of the franchise as an interactive horror experience, consistent with the spirit of the video games. Critical reception of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 highlighted its success in balancing multiple aspects of horror storytelling. Reviewers praised the film's capacity to integrate jump scares with psychological tension, emphasizing character development, thematic exploration, and technical execution. Audience reactions reflected similar sentiments, with particular admiration for the animatronic design, practical effects, immersive soundscape, and attention to detail in recreating the world of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Comparisons to the first film noted improvements in pacing, plot complexity, and narrative depth, as well as an expanded universe that allows for future sequels or spin-offs. The film's combination of narrative sophistication, technical achievement, and fan-oriented references positioned it as a benchmark for horror adaptations of video game properties. In addition to its narrative and cinematic qualities, the film explores broader themes such as trauma, morality, and the interplay between innocence and corruption. Abby's journey serves as an allegory for confronting fear and understanding the consequences of curiosity, while Mike and Vanessa embody the ethical responsibility of facing past mistakes and protecting those vulnerable to unseen dangers. The animatronics themselves become symbolic of unintended consequences, representing how negligence, moral compromise, and exploitation can manifest in destructive ways. By weaving these thematic threads through the horror sequences, the film elevates itself beyond a standard scare-driven narrative, offering commentary on human behavior, responsibility, and the persistence of past actions in shaping present circumstances. The sequel also anticipates potential expansion of the cinematic universe, setting the stage for future installments through narrative ambiguity and unresolved storylines. Hints of hidden animatronics, undiscovered secrets in FazFest, and lingering supernatural influences suggest that the world of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza continues beyond the immediate resolution of the film. This strategy not only maintains audience interest but also aligns with the serialized nature of the video games, which are known for hidden lore, ongoing mysteries, and iterative storytelling. By embedding clues and partial resolutions, the film encourages viewers to engage actively with the narrative, speculate on unanswered questions, and anticipate subsequent entries in the franchise. As Five Nights at Freddy's 2 progresses toward its climactic sequences, the film dedicates extensive narrative and cinematic focus to individual scenes, carefully orchestrating tension, suspense, and psychological horror. One of the most meticulously constructed sequences occurs in the abandoned maintenance wing of the pizzeria, a space layered with historical references, hidden animatronic parts, and cryptic visual storytelling. Abby ventures into this corridor alone, her flashlight cutting through the dim haze as the audience is immersed in a visual labyrinth. The camera employs tight framing and unexpected angles, emphasizing her vulnerability and the unpredictable behavior of the animatronics. Freddy's silhouette appears momentarily behind a flickering door, creating anticipation without immediate confrontation. This careful pacing mirrors the tension-building mechanics of the original game, where observing patterns and predicting animatronic movement is crucial, translating interactive suspense into cinematic form. Mike and Vanessa's parallel storyline intensifies as they investigate anomalies in FazFest's central control systems. Security logs reveal unusual activity, suggesting that certain animatronics have gained behaviors beyond pre-programmed parameters. Vanessa interprets these anomalies as evidence of residual consciousness or supernatural influence, while Mike grapples with the psychological weight of having survived similar threats in the past. Their collaboration highlights a critical narrative theme: confronting past trauma requires both analytical reasoning and emotional resilience. Scenes depicting their interactions utilize contrasting cinematography, alternating between tight, shadowed corridors and wide, oppressive festival spaces, emphasizing both confinement and looming threats. The filmmakers employ visual and auditory cues to sustain tension, sudden mechanical clicks, the distant echo of laughter, and shadows cast across walls serve to disorient both characters and audience alike. The film also meticulously explores animatronic behavior during key suspense sequences. Bonnie's unpredictable lateral movements, Chica's eerie mimicking of human gestures, and Foxy's rapid, diagonal attacks are choreographed to exploit fear of uncertainty, forcing human characters into reactive states. The animatronics design allows for subtle facial expressions, creating the illusion of sentience while reinforcing their mechanical origins. Freddy's calculated stalking behavior contrasts with these more erratic movements, positioning him as the narrative and psychological anchor of fear. Each encounter is punctuated by precise sound design, metallic grinding, mechanical whirs, and muffled whispers, layered with musical crescendos that heighten anxiety and anticipation. By integrating visual, auditory, and narrative techniques, the film transforms ordinary corridors and rooms into psychologically charged environments where danger feels omnipresent. Character psychology is explored with nuanced attention. Abby's progression from curiosity to heightened awareness reflects her internalization of fear and responsibility, while Mike's protective instincts underscore his lingering trauma and ethical commitment. Vanessa serves as the mediator, balancing caution with proactive investigation, embodying rationality amidst chaos. Their interactions reveal layered human emotions, fear, guilt, determination, and moral ambiguity. The filmmakers use close-ups, reaction shots, and strategic camera positioning to capture micro-expressions, conveying psychological depth alongside external threats. This emphasis on character-driven tension ensures that the audience remains emotionally invested, enhancing the impact of horror sequences beyond mere visual or auditory shock. Lighting plays a critical role in amplifying suspense throughout these sequences. Flickering fluorescent lights, shadowed corners, and sudden darkness manipulate visual perception, making spaces appear larger or more confined depending on narrative needs. Strategic use of reflections, mirrors, and reflective surfaces creates visual ambiguity, allowing animatronics to appear in unexpected locations and forcing both characters and viewers to question reality. These techniques, combined with careful color grading and cinematographic framing, establish a consistently unsettling atmosphere where safety is never guaranteed. The interplay between light and shadow mirrors the film's thematic exploration of known versus unknown, safety versus danger, and innocence versus corruption. The film's soundscape further accentuates the psychological tension. Non-diegetic music alternates between subtle ambient drones and sudden, jarring crescendos aligned with animatronic movement. Diegetic sounds, footsteps on creaking floors, mechanical motors grinding, distorted electronic beeps, interact with human dialogue and reactions to heighten immersion. Audio layering ensures that suspense is cumulative, even in scenes without direct visual contact with animatronics, sound conveys the presence of an unseen threat. This approach mirrors the mechanics of the video game series, where auditory cues often indicate danger before it becomes visually apparent, reinforcing continuity with source material while exploiting cinematic advantages. The climax integrates multiple narrative threads. Abby discovers the hidden control room for FazFest, revealing secret animatronic programming and evidence of intentional manipulation by past employees. Mike and Vanessa converge on this location, facing simultaneous confrontations with multiple animatronics. Choreographed set pieces allow for tension to escalate organically, with characters navigating confined spaces while dealing with mechanical threats that react unpredictably. The filmmakers utilize practical stunts, animatronic puppetry, and digital enhancements to create seamless action, ensuring that both suspense and narrative clarity are maintained. Each sequence is timed to maximize emotional impact, juxtaposing moments of near capture with brief respites that allow characters, and viewers, to recalibrate before the next escalation. The resolution of these sequences is both satisfying and intentionally ambiguous. Immediate threats are neutralized, allowing the human characters to escape or gain temporary control, yet the lingering presence of unresolved animatronic behavior suggests that the haunted environment remains partially intact. This ambiguity aligns with the franchise's overarching theme: horror is rarely fully contained, and the consequences of past actions persist beyond immediate narrative closure. By blending closure with uncertainty, the film maintains tension even as the story concludes, setting the stage for potential sequels and further exploration of the Freddy Fazbear universe. As Five Nights at Freddy's 2 reaches its final sequences, the tension reaches a crescendo through a combination of narrative complexity, visual spectacle, and psychological horror. The climactic scenes take place across multiple interconnected spaces within the Fazfest and the abandoned pizzeria, utilizing labyrinthine corridors, hidden maintenance rooms, and dimly lit festival areas to maximize suspense. Abby, Mike, and Vanessa are forced to navigate these spaces simultaneously, confronting multiple animatronics whose movements are both unpredictable and menacing. Freddy emerges as the central threat, his stalking behavior orchestrated to create a sense of inevitability, while Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy act as chaotic elements, escalating danger and forcing the human characters to adapt in real time. The choreography of these sequences blends practical animatronic puppetry with CGI enhancements, creating a seamless integration of realistic motion, expressive detail, and terrifying unpredictability. In one pivotal moment, Abby discovers a hidden maintenance control hub where Fazfest's animatronic programming can be temporarily overridden. Here, the film explores the duality of technology and morality, as Abby must decide whether to manipulate the systems to save herself and her companions or risk leaving the animatronics' behavior unchecked. This decision point serves as both a narrative climax and a thematic centerpiece, emphasizing the recurring motif of human responsibility in the creation and management of potentially destructive forces. The scene is visually striking, employing dynamic camera movements, flickering screens, and cascading shadows to reinforce both urgency and danger. Sound design amplifies the tension with overlapping mechanical noises, frantic footsteps, and a dissonant score that escalates in rhythm with the characters' actions. Mike and Vanessa's confrontation with the animatronics is choreographed with similar attention to detail. Tight corridors force the characters to anticipate animatronic movement, using limited visibility and environmental features to evade capture. The filmmakers utilize visual misdirection, through reflections, obstructions, and shadows, to maintain suspense and keep the audience uncertain about imminent threats. Practical animatronics are combined with digital enhancements, allowing for intricate interactions such as Freddy's head turning with unnatural fluidity or Foxy darting from hidden angles in unexpected ways. These sequences highlight the film's dedication to merging tangible horror with cinematic techniques, ensuring that scares feel both real and narratively justified. Character psychology reaches its apex in these final sequences. Abby exhibits growth and resilience, her earlier curiosity transformed into strategic thinking and bravery. She demonstrates a nuanced understanding of the animatronic's behavior, exploiting predictable patterns and using environmental knowledge to survive. Mike's protective instincts are amplified, as he balances calculated risk-taking with immediate action, reflecting the mental and emotional strain of confronting recurring trauma. Vanessa operates as a stabilizing presence, her investigative acumen guiding critical decisions and preventing mistakes that could prove fatal. These character dynamics underscore the human element of horror, fear, intelligence, and emotional resilience are as crucial as external action in navigating a threatening environment. The visual style of the climax emphasizes a contrast between confined and open spaces. Tight corridors, maintenance shafts, and storage areas create feelings of claustrophobia, forcing characters into reactive, high-stakes decision-making. In contrast, wide festival areas, illuminated by neon lights and carnival effects, heighten vulnerability and allow animatronics to exploit the open environment unpredictably. The filmmakers use these contrasts to manipulate pacing, alternating between rapid, high-intensity sequences and slower, suspense-building moments. Strategic lighting, shadow play, and color grading further amplify the psychological effect, transforming familiar spaces into threatening arenas where perception is constantly challenged. Sound design continues to function as a narrative instrument. Mechanical clicks, whirring motors, distorted audio, and sudden silences interact with musical scoring to create tension, anticipation, and dread. Layered audio cues signal approaching danger, while shifts in pitch and rhythm manipulate emotional responses. The integration of diegetic sounds, footsteps, machinery, environmental noises, with non-diegetic music reinforces immersion, ensuring that the audience is psychologically engaged even in the absence of visual stimuli. This technique mirrors the video game experience, where auditory awareness is as critical to survival as visual monitoring. The resolution of the final sequences balances closure with lingering ambiguity. Immediate threats are neutralized through strategic manipulation of animatronic programming and careful coordination among the protagonists. Abby, Mike, and Vanessa manage to escape the most dangerous areas, though the animatronic's ongoing presence is implied rather than fully resolved. This narrative choice preserves the series' hallmark sense of unease, suggesting that the consequences of past events and human error continue to echo within the environment. The film's ending reinforces its central themes: the interplay between human agency, ethical responsibility, and the enduring impact of trauma. Marketing campaigns for the film capitalized on the suspense and immersive qualities demonstrated in these climactic sequences. Viral promotions included interactive online experiences where fans could explore virtual renditions of FazFest, uncover hidden animatronic behavior, and decode cryptic messages. These campaigns mirrored the suspense-building mechanics of the film, allowing audiences to engage directly with the narrative world. Social media strategies amplified anticipation, providing behind-the-scenes glimpses, interviews with the cast, and interactive challenges that rewarded fan knowledge of the franchise. This engagement not only heightened interest but also fostered a participatory culture around the film, reinforcing its connection to the interactive origins of the video game series. Critics and audiences alike praised the film for its integration of narrative depth, technical achievement, and fidelity to source material. Reviews highlighted the sophisticated balance between psychological horror, jump scares, and character-driven storytelling. Audience feedback emphasized the effectiveness of practical animatronics, immersive sound design, and the intricate weaving of lore and narrative tension. Comparisons to other contemporary horror films noted the film's unique combination of interactivity-inspired suspense, cinematic polish, and franchise continuity. This reception solidified the film's status as a successful adaptation, expanding both the cinematic universe and the cultural resonance of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Beyond the immediate narrative of the film, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 deeply engages with the broader lore of the franchise, establishing connections to the original video games and expanding the cinematic universe. The filmmakers included numerous references and hidden details that reward attentive fans while remaining accessible to newcomers. Subtle visual cues, such as posters depicting past pizzeria events, glimpses of original animatronic designs, and nods to previous incidents, create a sense of continuity that bridges the film with the interactive game series. These elements are not merely decorative, they serve as narrative scaffolding, providing context for the animatronic's behavior and reinforcing the persistence of past events in shaping present circumstances. Security footage sequences, often grainy and fragmented, recall the gameplay mechanics of surveillance and observation central to the original titles, translating interactive suspense into cinematic form. Fan engagement with these references has been significant. Online communities quickly analyzed sequences frame by frame, identifying Easter eggs, potential connections to game lore, and hidden messages embedded within festival settings and animatronic designs. The film's careful integration of cryptic details fostered active speculation, discussion, and theory crafting, reflecting the participatory culture surrounding the FNAF franchise. The inclusion of ambiguous elements, such as unexplained animatronic behaviors or mysterious control room anomalies, encouraged fans to reconcile cinematic storytelling with prior game knowledge, maintaining a sense of mystery while enriching the narrative universe. These layered references serve dual purposes. They satisfy devoted fans with fidelity to the source material while simultaneously maintaining narrative clarity for casual viewers, creating a balance between accessibility and depth. Production and behind-the-scenes insights reveal the scale and complexity of creating a film that balances practical effects with digital enhancements. Animatronic design was a particularly challenging aspect, requiring collaboration between engineers, puppeteers, and visual effects artists. Each animatronic was constructed with multiple layers of articulation, enabling precise limb movement, head rotation, and facial expression. Silicone and foam materials were used to achieve lifelike textures while maintaining durability for repeated takes. Puppeteers operated intricate control rigs on set, synchronizing movement with sound cues and actor interactions. Digital effects teams enhanced these practical performances by smoothing motion, adding subtle lighting effects, and integrating environmental reflections, resulting in animatronics that appeared fully alive and psychologically threatening. Coordination between practical and digital teams was crucial, ensuring that each animatronic maintained continuity, believability, and a consistent presence throughout the film. Thematic analysis reveals recurring motifs of morality, trauma, and the intersection of human and mechanical agency. Abby's journey embodies the tension between curiosity and responsibility, illustrating the consequences of actions taken without full understanding of potential danger. Mike's protective instincts underscore themes of survivor guilt, ethical responsibility, and the burden of confronting past mistakes. Vanessa acts as a moral and analytical anchor, interpreting cryptic evidence and guiding critical decisions while balancing emotional involvement. The animatronics themselves symbolize the unintended consequences of human actions, representing both technological advancement and ethical failure. By framing horror through these thematic lenses, the film elevates its narrative beyond traditional jump-scare storytelling, inviting audiences to reflect on human behavior, the consequences of negligence, and the complexity of interacting with forces beyond comprehension. Cinematography and visual storytelling are central to the film's horror and thematic impact. The use of contrasting lighting techniques, bright carnival lights juxtaposed with shadowed corridors and hidden rooms, creates visual tension and mirrors thematic dualities of innocence and danger. Camera angles frequently shift from confined first-person perspectives to wider establishing shots, manipulating spatial awareness and audience anticipation. Reflections, partially obscured objects, and visual misdirection are employed to create uncertainty about animatronic presence, heightening suspense and encouraging active audience engagement. These techniques are complemented by meticulous production design. Carnival sets, abandoned maintenance areas, and retro-themed festival spaces are richly detailed, providing narrative context while enhancing psychological tension. Marketing efforts for the film reinforced both suspense and interactivity. Viral campaigns included ARG-style experiences where fans could decode hidden messages, explore virtual replicas of FazFest, and interact with story elements before the film's release. Social media challenges encouraged fan participation, speculation, and content creation, further integrating the audience into the narrative universe. This participatory approach mirrors the gameplay experience, where player agency and observation are critical, effectively translating interactive engagement into promotional strategy. Audience reception reflected appreciation for these initiatives, highlighting the franchise's ability to merge narrative, marketing, and community engagement in innovative ways. The film's connection to broader horror cinema also warrants analysis. Comparisons to other contemporary horror films emphasize its unique blend of psychological tension, practical effects, and franchise continuity. Unlike horror films relying solely on gore or jump scares, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 integrates narrative depth, character psychology, and interactive-inspired suspense. Its technical achievements, animatronic realism, layered sound design, and immersive cinematography, set benchmarks for video game adaptations in the genre. By combining horror, narrative complexity, and fan engagement, the film situates itself as a distinctive entry within both cinematic and franchise-specific contexts. Finally, the film's ending, while providing partial resolution, leaves the universe open for continuation. Unresolved animatronic behaviors, hints at hidden anomalies within FazFest, and subtle narrative ambiguity suggest that the story extends beyond the immediate conclusion. This strategic ambiguity aligns with the serialized nature of the original games, fostering audience anticipation and setting the stage for potential sequels, spin-offs, or expanded storytelling. The deliberate preservation of mystery reinforces the franchise's core identity. Horror and suspense are not finite, and the consequences of human actions persist, shaping the ongoing narrative landscape. Critical reviews of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 highlighted the film's remarkable ability to balance psychological horror, suspense, and narrative depth while remaining faithful to the source material. Critics praised the meticulous integration of animatronic design, practical effects, and CGI enhancements, noting that the realism of the creatures elevated the tension beyond typical jump-scare sequences. The performances of the cast were widely commended, with Josh Hutcherson's portrayal of Mike Schmidt capturing the psychological weight of trauma and moral responsibility, Elizabeth Lail's Vanessa Shelley providing a calm, analytical perspective amidst chaos, and Piper Rubio's Abby Schmidt delivering a compelling evolution from curiosity to courage. Many reviewers noted that the dynamic between the three central characters provided emotional grounding, making the horror sequences resonate more deeply because the audience was invested in their survival. Audience reactions mirrored critical sentiment, with fans praising the seamless translation of the original game mechanics into cinematic tension. The animatronics' behavior, mirroring their unpredictable game patterns, was particularly highlighted as both terrifying and engaging, providing a sense of authenticity that resonated with longtime fans of the franchise. Online forums and fan communities became hubs for discussion, speculation, and analysis, with viewers dissecting hidden Easter eggs, backstory references, and subtle narrative clues. The film's narrative ambiguity regarding unresolved animatronic activity encouraged ongoing debate, generating theories that further extended engagement with the story world. Social media buzz emphasized the dual success of the film. It satisfied expectations for both cinematic horror and fidelity to the original games. The cultural impact of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 extends beyond its narrative and technical achievements. The film has been credited with influencing the contemporary horror genre by demonstrating that video game adaptations can successfully merge interactive suspense mechanics with traditional cinematic storytelling. Filmmakers and critics alike have pointed to the innovative use of diegetic and non-diegetic sound, lighting, and environmental design to replicate the tension of interactive gameplay in a passive viewing experience. Moreover, the film's marketing strategy, which integrated immersive online experiences, ARGs, and participatory challenges, set a precedent for audience engagement that combines narrative immersion with real-world interactivity. These strategies strengthened the connection between fans and the franchise, creating a participatory culture in which audiences contribute to the ongoing interpretation and expansion of the story. Marketing campaigns for the film were multi-layered, reflecting the franchise's interactive roots. Teaser campaigns included cryptic online messages, viral videos, and social media challenges that encouraged fans to investigate the lore and speculate about the plot. Immersive experiences allowed fans to explore virtual versions of FazFest, manipulate animatronic behaviors, and uncover hidden narrative elements, effectively turning the marketing into an extension of the story itself. This approach not only generated anticipation but also positioned the audience as active participants in the horror universe, blurring the line between media consumption and engagement. Merchandise and promotional tie-ins, including collectible animatronic replicas, themed apparel, and interactive storybooks, reinforced the film's presence in fan communities and contributed to its broader cultural resonance. Comparisons between the cinematic adaptation and the original FNAF games reveal both continuity and innovation. The film successfully preserves the core gameplay experience, constant vigilance, unpredictability of animatronic behavior, and resource management, but translates these mechanics into cinematic techniques. Surveillance camera sequences, limited field of view perspectives, and environmental cues are used to evoke the same tension as the interactive games. Narrative expansion provides deeper exploration of character psychology and moral dilemmas, aspects that were implicit or minimal in the original games. By blending fidelity to source material with cinematic storytelling, the film bridges the gap between interactivity and narrative depth, creating a unique hybrid that appeals to both gamers and general audiences. The influence of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on the horror genre is also evident in its thematic exploration of ethical responsibility, human error, and the consequences of technological manipulation. The animatronics, as embodiments of human negligence and unintended consequences, provide a metaphorical critique of unchecked ambition and moral compromise. Characters' interactions with these entities underscore psychological and ethical dimensions of horror, demonstrating that fear is not solely derived from external threats but also from internal and societal failings. This approach differentiates the film from traditional slasher or supernatural horror, emphasizing thoughtful narrative construction alongside visceral scares. The film's reception within fan communities has been particularly noteworthy. Longtime FNAF enthusiasts appreciated the careful integration of game lore, hidden references, and continuity with prior events, while newcomers were able to enjoy a self-contained, suspenseful narrative. Fan theories proliferated online, exploring unresolved plot points, hidden animatronic behaviors, and possible sequel directions. Some fans engaged in detailed analyses comparing specific scenes to gameplay sequences, highlighting the filmmaker's attention to authenticity and the deliberate mirroring of game mechanics. This level of engagement has reinforced the franchise's longevity, ensuring that the cinematic universe maintains relevance and resonance within the broader entertainment landscape. Finally, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 establishes clear foundations for future narrative expansions. Unresolved animatronic activity, mysterious control systems, and cryptic environmental cues suggest that the events of the film are part of a larger, ongoing story arc. This intentional ambiguity ensures that audience speculation and anticipation remain active, providing fertile ground for sequels, spin-offs, or extended media projects. By intertwining narrative closure with hints of continued mystery, the film not only satisfies immediate storytelling needs but also positions the franchise for long-term engagement and expansion, reinforcing its status as a culturally significant entry in both horror cinema and video game adaptations. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 represents a culmination of narrative, technical, and thematic sophistication within the horror adaptation genre. The film successfully translates the core mechanics of the original video games, constant vigilance, unpredictability, and environmental awareness, into cinematic language, creating suspense that is both psychologically and visually compelling. By integrating practical animatronics with CGI enhancements, the filmmakers produced creatures that feel simultaneously mechanical and eerily alive, ensuring that horror emerges not from mere spectacle but from believability and subtle movement. The combination of lighting, cinematography, and sound design elevates suspense, using shadows, reflections, mechanical sounds, and musical cues to keep viewers on edge even during moments of narrative exposition. Narratively, the film intricately weaves character arcs, ethical dilemmas, and backstory into the suspenseful horror framework. Abby Schmidt evolves from innocent curiosity to empowered action, demonstrating resilience and strategic thinking. Mike Schmidt confronts the lingering trauma of prior experiences, balancing caution with decisiveness, while Vanessa Shelley embodies rationality, ethical guidance, and investigative acumen. Their interactions reveal complex psychological layers, emphasizing that survival in a hostile environment requires both intelligence and moral fortitude. The animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, serve as extensions of the franchise's exploration of human error, negligence, and the unintended consequences of technological manipulation. These characters are not mere monsters, they symbolize a persistent tension between innocence and corruption, past and present, human and machine. Thematic depth permeates the film, offering commentary on morality, trauma, responsibility, and the consequences of curiosity. Human actions, both deliberate and negligent, have created the conditions for horror, underscoring that terror is not solely external but entwined with ethical failures. The narrative suggests that technology, when mismanaged, becomes an instrument of both fear and reflection, forcing characters and audiences to confront the moral implications of their interactions with the world. These themes resonate beyond the confines of the story, encouraging viewers to reflect on broader societal and psychological dynamics, a distinguishing feature that sets the film apart from conventional jump-scare-driven horror. From a production standpoint, the film exemplifies a mastery of interdisciplinary collaboration. Animatronic engineering, puppetry, digital effects, cinematography, sound design, production design, and musical scoring converge to create an immersive environment. Practical animatronics were augmented with subtle CGI to enhance fluidity and expression without breaking realism. Sound design incorporated mechanical noises, environmental effects, and diegetic and non-diegetic cues to create a layered auditory landscape. Cinematography strategically employed shadows, reflections, and contrasting spaces to manipulate perception and sustain suspense. These elements collectively ensure that the horror feels lived in, dynamic, and psychologically resonant. The marketing and promotional strategies for the film reflected its interactive origins and enhanced fan engagement. ARG campaigns, virtual explorations of FazFest, cryptic social media messages, and merchandise created a participatory experience, encouraging fans to engage actively with the story universe. These strategies reinforced the connection between audience and narrative, translating the interactive suspense of the games into real-world engagement while simultaneously expanding the franchise's cultural footprint. Fan communities responded enthusiastically, generating analyses, theories, and discussions that enriched the film's narrative impact and solidified its place within both horror and gaming culture. Critically and commercially, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 achieved recognition for its innovation in horror adaptation, effective blending of psychological tension with practical scares, and faithful integration of source material. Its impact extends beyond box office performance, influencing subsequent horror adaptations and demonstrating the potential for video game properties to be successfully translated into narrative-driven cinema. The film's layered approach, combining suspense, character psychology, ethical complexity, and fan interactivity, sets a benchmark for the genre, ensuring that it will be referenced in discussions of effective horror filmmaking and interactive media adaptation. Finally, the film lays the groundwork for the franchise's future. Narrative ambiguity, unresolved animatronic behaviors, and hints at hidden mysteries ensure that audiences remain engaged and anticipate sequels or spin-offs. The cinematic universe established here allows for exploration of both prequel and sequel storylines, expanded character arcs, and deeper examination of ethical and supernatural dimensions. By balancing closure with mystery, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 secures its legacy as both a faithful adaptation and a transformative work within the horror genre. In summary, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a landmark in horror adaptation, blending narrative complexity, thematic depth, and technical innovation. Its successful translation of interactive game mechanics into cinematic suspense, coupled with rich character development, ethical exploration, and meticulous production design, ensures that it resonates with both fans and general audiences. The film demonstrates how horror can be both entertaining and intellectually engaging, and it solidifies the franchise's continued relevance and potential for future cinematic expansion. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is an American horror film adaptation of the immensely popular video game series created by Scott Cawthon. Directed by Emma Tammy, this cinematic installment expands on the chilling universe of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and FazFest, blending suspense, psychological horror, and interactive-inspired tension. Produced in the United States, the film features a combination of practical animatronics, CGI enhancements, and meticulously designed sets to create an immersive horror experience that both honors the video game origins and delivers a fresh cinematic narrative. The film's production was spearheaded by Blumhouse Productions, known for their expertise in crafting psychologically driven horror narratives, ensuring that every element, from animatronic design to soundscapes, was engineered to heighten suspense while maintaining narrative cohesion. The story revolves around Abby Schmidt, a curious and adventurous teenager, and her older brother Mike Schmidt, who is navigating the psychological aftermath of past encounters with haunted animatronics. The plot unfolds across the refurbished FazFest Entertainment Park and the old, abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, environments that juxtapose playful nostalgia with sinister undertones. Abby becomes captivated by the animatronics, intrigued by their lifelike behavior and the eerie aura surrounding the pizzeria. Meanwhile, Mike is tasked with protecting her while confronting unresolved trauma and investigating the mysterious resurgence of animatronic activity. Vanessa Shelley, an investigative journalist and former Fazbear security employee, joins them to unravel hidden truths about the haunted animatronics, blending analytical reasoning with ethical oversight. Together, the trio confronts supernatural phenomena, technological malfunctions, and moral dilemmas, ultimately navigating the perilous intersection of human error and mechanical malevolence. The animatronics, Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are depicted as multifaceted antagonists, exhibiting both programmed behaviors and signs of residual consciousness from past tragedies. Freddy is the dominant figure, employing calculated stalking behavior that emphasizes psychological horror over overt aggression. Bonnie's unpredictability and Chica's disturbing mimicry of human emotion contribute to narrative tension, while Foxy functions as a high-speed threat, accelerating suspense in critical moments. The film's narrative intricately interweaves animatronic backstory, revealing their origins, the moral failures of prior employees, and subtle supernatural influence, highlighting recurring themes of human negligence, curiosity, and unintended consequences. Production design plays a pivotal role in establishing the film's immersive atmosphere. FazFest and the Abandoned Pizzeria are crafted with painstaking attention to detail, featuring arcade machines, stage platforms, dining areas, hidden corridors, and maintenance shafts. These spaces are strategically lit and decorated to evoke nostalgia while simultaneously instilling unease. Cinematography emphasizes tight framing, shadowed corners, and dynamic camera angles to manipulate audience perception and maximize suspense. Practical animatronics, combined with CGI enhancements, allow for lifelike movement, subtle facial expressions, and interactive engagement with actors. This blend of physical and digital design ensures continuity, believability, and consistent tension across sequences. Sound design and musical scoring amplify suspense, employing mechanical whirs, footsteps, creaks, distorted laughter, and carnival-inspired melodies that shift to dark, ominous tones. Layered diegetic and non-diegetic audio cues heighten audience anticipation and mirror gameplay mechanics, where auditory awareness often precedes visual confirmation of threat. The soundscape, coupled with precise visual misdirection and environmental storytelling, transforms ordinary corridors, festival grounds, and maintenance areas into psychologically charged arenas. Character development is central to the narrative. Abby's transformation from naive curiosity to empowered, strategic thinking exemplifies growth under duress. Mike's arc explores themes of trauma, survivor guilt, and ethical responsibility, while Vanessa provides analytical guidance, moral grounding, and investigative expertise. Their interactions highlight human resilience, intellectual resourcefulness, and emotional depth, ensuring that horror is both external and internal, arising from threat and psychological conflict alike. The plot unfolds through carefully structured suspense sequences. Abby explores dimly lit corridors and hidden maintenance rooms, encountering animatronics in moments of calculated terror. Security footage, logs, and cryptic messages provide exposition, revealing the origins of the haunted animatronics and their connection to past human negligence. Mike and Vanessa simultaneously investigate anomalies in FazFest's control systems, decoding evidence of residual consciousness or supernatural influence in the animatronics' behavior. These narrative threads converge in climactic sequences, where multiple animatronics coordinate attacks across confined and open spaces, forcing the protagonists to navigate both physical and ethical challenges. Key sequences utilize cinematic techniques that heighten tension. Contrasting lighting, bright festival illumination against shadowed corridors, manipulates perception, while reflections, partially obscured objects, and visual misdirection create uncertainty. Camera angles shift between tight perspectives and wide establishing shots, enhancing suspense. Practical animatronics and CGI combine for dynamic, unpredictable movement, while sound cues, musical crescendos, and environmental noises maintain continuous psychological pressure. The climax revolves around the hidden control hub for FazFest, where Abby must decide whether to manipulate the animatronics to survive or leave their behavior unchecked, encapsulating the film's exploration of ethical responsibility. Marketing strategies leverage the interactive roots of the franchise. ARG campaigns, cryptic social media content, virtual explorations of FazFest, and immersive fan experiences encouraged participation, speculation, and fan-generated analysis. Merchandise, interactive storybooks, and collectible animatronic replicas extended engagement beyond the screen. These strategies mirrored the tension-building mechanics of the games, allowing fans to experience narrative suspense while deepening investment in the story universe. Critical reception highlighted the film's successful adaptation of game mechanics into cinematic suspense, as well as its character-driven storytelling and technical achievements. Audiences praised the animatronic realism, psychological tension, and fidelity to franchise lore. Comparisons to contemporary horror films underscored its innovative blend of interactive-inspired suspense with narrative complexity, setting a benchmark for video game adaptations. Fan communities analyzed hidden references, Easter eggs, and unresolved plot points, fostering ongoing discussion and speculation about future sequels and narrative expansions. The film's cultural impact is multifaceted. It demonstrates the potential for video game adaptations to maintain narrative depth while translating interactivity into cinematic form. Its thematic focus on trauma, moral responsibility, and the consequences of human error elevates horror beyond visual shocks, offering intellectual engagement alongside emotional resonance. The participatory marketing and immersive fan experiences redefine audience engagement, blending media consumption with interactive participation. By balancing closure with intentional ambiguity, the film ensures continued relevance, allowing for narrative expansion through sequels, spin-offs, and further exploration of the animatronics world. In synthesis, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 exemplifies the convergence of technical innovation, narrative sophistication, and franchise fidelity. Its effective translation of interactive gameplay into cinematic suspense, combined with meticulously crafted animatronics, immersive production design, layered soundscapes, and psychologically rich characters, positions it as a landmark in horror adaptation. Themes of morality, trauma, curiosity, and human error interweave with visual and auditory storytelling to produce a film that is both terrifying and thought-provoking. By establishing a foundation for future sequels and maintaining engagement with fan communities, the film secures its legacy as a defining work in both horror cinema and video game adaptations, ensuring its place as a culturally significant and narratively compelling franchise installment. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is an American horror film adaptation of the immensely popular video game series created by Scott Cawthon. Directed by Emma Tammy and produced by Blumhouse Productions, the film merges suspense, psychological horror, and interactive-inspired tension. Filmed in the United States, it combines practical animatronics, CGI enhancements, and meticulously designed sets to create an immersive environment that honors the video game origins while delivering a fresh cinematic narrative. The story centers on Abby Schmidt, a curious and adventurous teenager, and her older brother, Mike Schmidt, who grapples with unresolved trauma from previous encounters with haunted animatronics. The narrative unfolds across FazFest, a refurbished entertainment park, and the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These spaces blend nostalgia with sinister undertones. Abby's fascination with the animatronics draws her deeper into danger, while Mike balances protection with investigation. Vanessa Shelley, a former Fazbear security employee and investigative journalist, provides analytical insight and moral guidance. Together, they confront supernatural phenomena, technological malfunctions, and ethical dilemmas, navigating the perilous overlap between human error and mechanical malevolence. The animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are more than mere machines. Freddy exhibits calculated stalking behavior, Bonnie and Chica display unpredictable and eerie human-like movements, and Foxy introduces high-speed, chaotic threats. The film reveals their origins, highlighting past human negligence, moral compromise, and supernatural influence. This blend of narrative depth and horror preserves the franchise's core tension while expanding on its lore. Production design plays a crucial role. FazFest and the abandoned pizzeria are intricately crafted, from arcade machines and stage platforms to hidden corridors and maintenance shafts. Lighting contrasts playful brightness with ominous shadows, enhancing suspense. Practical animatronics combined with CGI create realistic, expressive movements. This attention to detail ensures the animatronics are both believable and terrifying, providing a seamless immersive experience. Sound design amplifies tension. Mechanical whirs, footsteps, creaks, and distorted laughter are layered with carnival melodies that shift to ominous tones. Diegetic and non-diegetic audio cues maintain suspense, mirroring gameplay mechanics where sound often precedes visual threat. Music and environmental noises reinforce the psychological pressure, ensuring continuous engagement. Character development is central. Abby evolves from naive curiosity to empowered strategic thinking. Mike confronts trauma, survivor guilt, and ethical responsibility. Vanessa provides analytical and moral guidance. Together, their interactions highlight human resilience and intellectual resourcefulness, demonstrating that survival requires psychological as well as physical navigation of danger. The film's plot is structured around suspenseful sequences. Abby explores dim corridors and hidden maintenance rooms, encountering animatronics in calculated terror. Security footage, logs, and cryptic messages reveal the animatronics' haunted past and human culpability. Mike and Vanessa investigate anomalies in FazFest's control systems, uncovering evidence of supernatural or residual consciousness in the animatronics. These threads converge in climactic sequences, where multiple animatronics coordinate attacks across confined and open spaces, testing the characters' ingenuity and courage. Climactic sequences use cinematographic techniques to maximize suspense. Tight framing, reflections, and visual misdirection manipulate perception. Contrasting lighting in corridors and festival grounds amplifies tension. Animatronics combine practical movement and digital enhancements, creating unpredictable behavior. Sound cues, musical crescendos, and environmental noises maintain psychological pressure. The climax centers on a hidden control hub where Abby must decide whether to manipulate the animatronics or risk leaving their behavior unchecked, encapsulating the film's exploration of ethical responsibility. Marketing mirrored the franchise's interactive roots. ARG campaigns, virtual explorations, cryptic social media content, and merchandise encouraged active fan engagement. Audiences participated in decoding hidden lore, speculating about plot points, and exploring virtual FazFest environments. These strategies transformed fans from passive viewers to active participants, strengthening engagement and expanding cultural impact. Critically, the film was lauded for translating interactive gameplay into cinematic suspense while deepening character arcs and narrative complexity. Audiences praised animatronic realism, psychological tension, and lore fidelity. Comparisons to contemporary horror films highlighted its innovative blend of suspense, interactive-inspired storytelling, and thematic depth. Fan communities analyzed Easter eggs, hidden references, and ambiguous plot points, fostering ongoing discussion and anticipation for potential sequels. The film's cultural impact is substantial. It demonstrates that video game adaptations can maintain narrative depth while translating interactivity into cinematic form. Its themes, trauma, moral responsibility, and consequences of human error, elevate horror beyond visual shocks. The participatory marketing and immersive fan experiences redefine engagement, blurring the line between narrative consumption and interactivity. Finally, the film lays a foundation for future expansions. Ambiguous animatronic behavior, cryptic environmental cues, and unresolved mysteries suggest continuity beyond the immediate story. This strategic ambiguity supports sequels, spin-offs, and expanded storytelling while preserving the franchise's signature tension. In conclusion, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 exemplifies the convergence of narrative sophistication, technical mastery, and franchise fidelity. It successfully translates interactive gameplay mechanics into cinematic suspense, enriches character psychology, integrates thematic depth, and engages fans in participatory storytelling. The film sets a benchmark for video game adaptations, secures its legacy in horror cinema, and ensures the franchise's continued relevance and narrative potential. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is an American horror film adaptation of the immensely popular video game series created by Scott Cawthon. Directed by Emma Tammy and produced by Blumhouse Productions, the film merges suspense, psychological horror, and interactive-inspired tension. Filmed in the United States, it combines practical animatronics, CGI enhancements, and meticulously designed sets to create an immersive environment that honors the video game origins while delivering a fresh cinematic narrative. The story centers on Abby Schmidt, a curious and adventurous teenager, and her older brother, Mike Schmidt, who grapples with unresolved trauma from previous encounters with haunted animatronics. Set across FazFest, a refurbished entertainment park, and the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, these spaces juxtapose playful nostalgia with sinister undertones. Abby's fascination with the animatronics draws her deeper into danger, while Mike balances protection with investigation. Vanessa Shelley, a former Fazbear security employee and investigative journalist, provides analytical insight and moral guidance, helping the trio confront supernatural phenomena, technological malfunctions, and ethical dilemmas. The animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are not merely machines, they exhibit a blend of programmed behavior and residual consciousness. Freddy serves as a calculated, dominant threat, while Bonnie and Chica display unpredictable, eerily human-like movements. Foxy accelerates suspense with chaotic, high-speed attacks. These animatronics are crafted with a combination of practical puppetry and CGI enhancements, ensuring realistic, fluid movements that heighten psychological tension. Beyond horror, they symbolize the consequences of human error, negligence, and curiosity, highlighting the moral undertones of the narrative. Production design enhances this immersive experience. FazFest and the abandoned pizzeria are detailed with arcade machines, stage platforms, hidden corridors, and maintenance shafts. Lighting contrasts festival brightness with shadowed, threatening areas, while cinematography employs tight framing, reflections, and strategic misdirection to manipulate perception and sustain suspense. Sound design further amplifies the film's psychological impact. Mechanical whirs, creaks, footsteps, distorted laughter, and carnival-inspired melodies are layered with diegetic and non-diegetic audio cues to mirror the gameplay experience, where auditory signals often precede visible threats. Music shifts seamlessly from playful to ominous tones, maintaining tension even during narrative exposition. Character development is central to the story's emotional resonance. Abby evolves from innocent curiosity to strategic bravery, Mike confronts trauma and survivor guilt while balancing ethical responsibility, and Vanessa provides rational guidance and moral grounding. Their interactions emphasize human resilience, intellectual resourcefulness, and emotional depth, ensuring that suspense is both external and internal. The narrative unfolds through suspenseful sequences where Abby explores dimly lit corridors and hidden maintenance rooms, encountering animatronics in moments of terror. Security footage, logs, and cryptic messages reveal the haunted past of these machines and human culpability. Meanwhile, Mike and Vanessa investigate anomalies in FazFest's control systems, uncovering evidence of residual consciousness or supernatural influence in the animatronics. These narrative threads converge during climactic sequences, where multiple animatronics coordinate attacks across confined and open spaces. The filmmakers use contrasting lighting, reflections, and misdirection to heighten uncertainty. Practical and digital animatronic effects blend seamlessly, creating unpredictable, fluid movement that keeps both characters and viewers on edge. The climax centers around a hidden control hub, where Abby must decide whether to manipulate the animatronics for survival or risk leaving them unchecked, encapsulating the film's thematic focus on ethical responsibility. Marketing for the film leveraged its interactive roots, including ARG campaigns, virtual explorations of FazFest, cryptic social media content, and merchandise such as animatronic replicas, apparel, and storybooks. Fans were encouraged to decode hidden messages, speculate on plot points, and engage directly with the narrative universe, effectively turning marketing into an extension of the story. Critically, the film was lauded for translating interactive gameplay mechanics into cinematic suspense while deepening character arcs and narrative complexity. Audiences praised the realism of animatronics, psychological tension, and attention to lore fidelity. Comparisons to contemporary horror films emphasized its unique blend of interactive-inspired suspense, narrative sophistication, and thematic depth. Fan communities analyzed Easter eggs, hidden references, and unresolved plot points, fostering discussion and anticipation for potential sequels. Culturally, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 demonstrates that video game adaptations can achieve narrative depth while translating interactivity into cinematic form. Its thematic exploration of trauma, ethical responsibility, and consequences of human error elevates horror beyond simple jump scares. The film's participatory marketing and immersive experiences redefine audience engagement, merging storytelling with interactivity. Furthermore, its ambiguous ending and unresolved animatronic behaviors establish a foundation for sequels, spin-offs, and further expansion of the cinematic universe, ensuring sustained engagement and relevance. Technically, the film sets a benchmark in animatronic realism, production design, sound layering, cinematography, and suspense-building techniques, blending innovation with fidelity to franchise lore. In conclusion, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 exemplifies the successful convergence of narrative sophistication, technical mastery, and franchise fidelity. It translates interactive gameplay into cinematic suspense, enriches character development, integrates thematic depth, and engages fans in participatory storytelling. Its legacy as a benchmark for horror adaptations, combined with its immersive design, psychological tension, and narrative complexity, ensures both immediate impact and long-term relevance within the horror genre and video game adaptation landscape. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is an American horror film adaptation of the immensely popular video game series created by Scott Cawthon. Directed by Emma Tammy and produced by Blumhouse Productions, the film merges suspense, psychological horror, and interactive-inspired tension. Filmed in the United States, it combines practical animatronics, CGI enhancements, and meticulously designed sets to create an immersive environment that honors the video game origins while delivering a fresh cinematic narrative. The story centers on Abby Schmidt, a curious and adventurous teenager, and her older brother, Mike Schmidt, who grapples with unresolved trauma from previous encounters with haunted animatronics. Set across FazFest, a refurbished entertainment park, and the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, these spaces juxtapose playful nostalgia with sinister undertones. Abby's fascination with the animatronics draws her deeper into danger, while Mike balances protection with investigation. Vanessa Shelley, a former Fazbear security employee and investigative journalist, provides analytical insight and moral guidance, helping the trio confront supernatural phenomena, technological malfunctions, and ethical dilemmas. The animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are not merely machines, they exhibit a blend of programmed behavior and residual consciousness. Freddy serves as a calculated, dominant threat, while Bonnie and Chica display unpredictable, eerily human-like movements. Foxy accelerates suspense with chaotic, high-speed attacks. These animatronics are crafted with a combination of practical puppetry and CGI enhancements, ensuring realistic, fluid movements that heighten psychological tension. Beyond horror, they symbolize the consequences of human error, negligence, and curiosity, highlighting the moral undertones of the narrative. Production design enhances this immersive experience. FazFest and the abandoned pizzeria are detailed with arcade machines, stage platforms, hidden corridors, and maintenance shafts. Lighting contrasts festival brightness with shadowed, threatening areas, while cinematography employs tight framing, reflections, and strategic misdirection to manipulate perception and sustain suspense. Sound design further amplifies the film's psychological impact. Mechanical whirs, creaks, footsteps, distorted laughter, and carnival-inspired melodies are layered with diegetic and non-diegetic audio cues to mirror the gameplay experience, where auditory signals often precede visible threats. Music shifts seamlessly from playful to ominous tones, maintaining tension even during narrative exposition. Character development is central to the story's emotional resonance. Abby evolves from innocent curiosity to strategic bravery, Mike confronts trauma and survivor guilt while balancing ethical responsibility, and Vanessa provides rational guidance and moral grounding. Their interactions emphasize human resilience, intellectual resourcefulness, and emotional depth, ensuring that suspense is both external and internal. The narrative unfolds through suspenseful sequences where Abby explores dimly lit corridors and hidden maintenance rooms, encountering animatronics in moments of terror. Security footage, logs, and cryptic messages reveal the haunted past of these machines and human culpability. Meanwhile, Mike and Vanessa investigate anomalies in FazFest's control systems, uncovering evidence of residual consciousness or supernatural influence in the animatronics. These narrative threads converge during climactic sequences, where multiple animatronics coordinate attacks across confined and open spaces. The filmmakers use contrasting lighting, reflections, and misdirection to heighten uncertainty. Practical and digital animatronic effects blend seamlessly, creating unpredictable, fluid movement that keeps both characters and viewers on edge. The climax centers around a hidden control hub, where Abby must decide whether to manipulate the animatronics for survival or risk leaving them unchecked, encapsulating the film's focus on ethical responsibility. Marketing leveraged the franchise's interactive roots, including ARG campaigns, virtual explorations of FazFest, cryptic social media content, and merchandise such as animatronic replicas, apparel, and storybooks. Fans were encouraged to decode hidden messages, speculate on plot points, and engage directly with the narrative universe, effectively turning marketing into an extension of the story. Critically, the film was lauded for translating interactive gameplay mechanics into cinematic suspense while deepening character arcs and narrative complexity. Audiences praised the realism of animatronics, psychological tension, and attention to lore fidelity. Comparisons to contemporary horror films emphasized its unique blend of interactive-inspired suspense, narrative sophistication, and thematic depth. Fan communities analyzed Easter eggs, hidden references, and unresolved plot points, fostering discussion and anticipation for potential sequels. Culturally, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 demonstrates that video game adaptations can achieve narrative depth while translating interactivity into cinematic form. Its exploration of trauma, ethical responsibility, and consequences of human error elevates horror beyond simple jump scares. The film's participatory marketing and immersive experiences redefine audience engagement, merging storytelling with interactivity. Furthermore, its ambiguous ending and unresolved animatronic behaviors establish a foundation for sequels, spin-offs, and further expansion of the cinematic universe, ensuring sustained engagement and relevance. Technically, the film sets a benchmark in animatronic realism, production design, sound layering, cinematography, and suspense-building techniques, blending innovation with fidelity to franchise lore. In conclusion, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 exemplifies the successful convergence of narrative sophistication, technical mastery, and franchise fidelity. It translates interactive gameplay into cinematic suspense, enriches character development, integrates thematic depth, and engages fans in participatory storytelling. Its legacy as a benchmark for horror adaptations, combined with its immersive design, psychological tension, and narrative complexity, ensures both immediate impact and long-term relevance within the horror genre and video game adaptation landscape.